Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another one of my Ascension messages. My name is Bobbie Richardson, and I will be your guide for today. So today we are going to do a channeling. I'm going to tap in and see what comes up, and also bring up any messages that I've also had through the week. Interesting, I forgot my phone, but that's okay. I only had one message on there. I don't know if I can remember it now. But there was something that happened yesterday that I do want to bring up. It's quite often that, especially when it's to do with spiritual stuff, if I ask for something, it tends to happen because I have such a strong connection to my guides, benevolent beings, the CYANIANS, the Pleiadians, Acrturians, my higher self, my soul, and all of that. And so I'm driving around yesterday, and I had this thought pop in my head of connecting with the animals or getting messages from the animals or nature, and then bringing that up in my talks. And I thought to myself, well, you know, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And it's not until you literally let go of all of that sort of thing, you just allow what to happen next to happen. It was like, would have been a few hours later, that I was driving around a corner and I saw in front of me this big blue-tongue lizard. I think it was a blue-tongue lizard. Its tail was as long as, like, its tail looked like its head sort of thing. They are really big in Australia. They are about 1.5 foot long, and they have quite fat bodies. And this thing was quite a big one. And it was walking just in the open on somebody's front yard, on somebody's front lawn, you know, on the sidewalk, sort of in front of their front lawn. And this big crow was attacking it. So, of course, I pulled up, did a U-turn, pulled up and shooed the crow away, because if I'm there and I can help, then I will help. And that's how I see things. So, yeah, and of course the blue-tongue lizard got to the shrubbery and, you know, could hide itself again and wasn't so vulnerable anymore. And jumped in the car and I'm driving off, and I'm like, well, that is pretty unusual for something like that to happen. It's not something that you see every day, even in Australia. And then I was thinking about it. I know that crows represent our feminine side. They're the flying, you know, kind of like the intuitive side of ourselves. And the lizards represent our logical side of ourself. And, you know, the very grounded as well. So it suddenly dawned on me. It's like they were posing a question, or I was posing a question to myself. What would humanity look like if the intuitive mind was overtaking the logical mind? Like, we know, well, I know, and some people that follow me feel that the logical mind is, well, it is, because it's even scientifically proven, the logical mind is way more active than the intuitive mind. That's why we're in this society at the moment of being controlled by that compartmentalized, rule-based, logical. Everything has to be grounded. We don't believe anything outside of our five senses. It has to make sense in a very practical way, kind of reality. And just posing that question and going, what would that actually look like when the right hemisphere is actually overtaking the logical mind? And this would have been what had happened in the Atlantis Lemuria age, when we were all quite living in peace and harmony, and then we wanted to ground a lot more, but our right imaginative hemisphere could have been trying to dictate to the logic that it has to ground all this crazy stuff. And I started to really feel into that and what that would look like and how everything would be mixed up. And I was thinking, oh, the world would be mixed up. And then it just dawned on me that was actually in the letter that I got from Grandmother Parisha when she pricked my blood and went into my soul and tried to find my soul lineage. And she said it took her a couple of times to find it. And then when she finally found me in my lineage, it was that I was holding a specific code and I was hiding it from humanity until the time was right. And in that letter, there's a couple of sentences. It says, the human Great Spirit's children decided to go beyond what was given and wanted to show the Creator that they could create. So we're talking a long, long, long time ago when Atlantis Lemuria was around. And then it's like humanity wanted to find out more about their logical side, what they could create, what they could ground, what they could bring into their world, not just esoterically or, as an energy vine, but actual solid things. And then the next sentence was, they explored, and soon many things became confused, and Ela, or Earth, began to birth and change. What was paradise was not perfect anymore. So then all the creations cancelled. So, and the letter goes on, and the information goes on about my name and who I am. Just in that piece, though, it's like we have to be aware of this as we're moving along, and we are learning that, okay, we've pushed logic as far as we can go, like the whole compartmentalized, rule-based, everything. It's limited and limited and limited humanity's consciousness. And all it does is make us go round in circles. We just keep grabbing from the past, projecting into the future. We're not gifting our imagination any responsibility of changing or shifting our reality. And we're not coming together to do that. But we also have to be aware that as we move into these new frequencies, and we want to bring everything into balance, we want to bring that right hemisphere, that beautiful imagination and intuition and guidance, and through our soul, and understanding that anything is possible. We want to be able to bring that through in a balanced way with our logic of what we want to ground in this world, that it makes sense that we actually have this beautiful story, this lineal story, this story that actually produces something better and better and better and better for humanity. And that was what this whole message ended up becoming in my mind, and what the animals were trying to, awaken within me to understand, that we need this balance. Sometimes the imaginative side needs to be in charge to be able to grab something that's not working in our reality and say, hey, let's try something different. Let's put a new imagining into humanity's consciousness. And if enough of us decide that this is a beautiful scenario, this would be a fantastic thing to go into, then if many of us focus in on the same sort of scenario, then that will start to be produced. We can produce it on our own, but then to hold that, we would have to isolate ourselves away from all of the main population to be able to hold it if we were doing it all on our own. Every time we went into the main population, it'd be a different story. So then it's more, this is more to do with aligning ourselves with each other of what makes us all happy. And, we don't want to be going back to a place where everything gets annihilated and we're back into the caveman's side again, where we have to start all over again. This is what we're trying to prevent, this is why many of us are coming from these higher benevolent places, like myself and others that are speaking up now. We're trying to bring everybody into realizing, what do you actually want in this world? What do you want to create in this world? And what can be a happier life for the whole of humanity? We can integrate parts of technology and stuff if we want to, but we don't want it to be controlled by those fractions that have got holding all the wealth either, because that's just our logical mind dictating to us how it has to be. In that respect, it's still coming from a lack. We want to bring ourselves into that yin-yang position of being whole with ourselves, that whether we use our intuition and our imagination or our logic, both sides of ourselves is accepted. Both sides of ourselves to move forward and carve this new path of beauty and wonder and adventure and excitement. And oh my God, now we can, if we really want to, we could close our eyes and our soul can leave and go off into these other planets and feel safe. Or we could create the ship that we wanted that will take us there as an adventure or something. Or we could talk to the plants. The plants will end up leading us to where all the food is or something. There's so many different possibilities still, but we want it in a linear story too. So we don't want to go too far one side or too far the other side. And I think that's what that message was bringing up, to stay centered within oneself and always come back to what's going to make us in our individual selves happy, and then allow other people to come in that agree, that feel resonant with that, and then unite with them and have that faith in them that they might, it might be a little bit different for them, but it's similar in the structure of where we want to go, and then allow the unification of souls to come together to produce a better story and a better story. So we do have on Gaia at the moment, they're telling me we have the small pockets of this happening where there's these clans of people that are coming together that have similar creations, that they're moving away from the old system that is crumbling now anyway, and moving into something new. But they're also saying that there's also going to be this bigger collaboration that's going to be happening, and it has to happen through a squeeze or a push from the imbalanced side, the side, the logical side that is taking over. And there's an imbalance obviously with that, and they will squeeze us until the people start to rise and say, well, that's not really what we want in our reality. We're not going to focus in on that story anymore, and we're going to create something beautiful over here. But they are making sure, and through these messages, to just be aware that we don't get too confused and mixed up with everything of what we want, that we keep aligning ourselves with our happiest place within ourselves, and that will naturally bring through something of value. Anyways, that was the big story that I got. Hi Mary, hi Sheila, Joe, Cherie, Sky, Jessa, and Kylie. Hi Kylie and Yannicka. Good to see you guys all there. I'll just see what else comes through as well with this whole new development of things. And also to be aware that when something is crumbling, don't fixate in on it. See it as part of the whole journey, as the observer. Because our soul, source energy, God, prime creator, whatever you want to call it, is always coming from that observer point of view. They're also bringing up that it's kind of like, if you see it from that perspective, it's like you have a beautiful fish tank. And if you have a beautiful fish tank, you have all these different fish in it. Say one fish was starting to eat up all the other fish. then as the observer of that fish tank, you would go in and you would just say, hey, and you would manipulate, you would push that maybe take those fish out for a while and put them aside, or put them in another bowl, or separate them, or you would, you just sit there and observe and make sure. You'd allow it to happen, but you'd make sure that it doesn't get too out of hand. That's the feeling I'm getting from the source energy, prime creator kind of perspective on watching this develop, seeing if the strength of the fish that is trying to push the other fish or eat the other fish or whatever is taking over, if it's actually going to spur the other fish to become more cleverer and saving themselves and their own bacon, whether they are actually going to come together as a united front, even though they're all different fish, and see if they can protect each other, and then it unifies them. So that's interesting. So I can see now why they're bringing that up. So they're bringing that up so that we can actually start to find unification within ourselves, even though we have differences. And so we see something that does happen. Those ones that are trying to be overbearing will see something of value that they annihilate or whatever, they take over, and then we go, hang on a sec, to save ourselves and those that are being attacked, we now need to unify, but we need to be able to trust ourselves in this unification. So we have to do the inner work within ourselves to be able to go out and say, okay, you align with me, you align with me. What can we do to preserve ourselves, to make this a better place? Where can we, and it might be that that a lot of us turn around and say no to that. That's not happening anymore. And then we have these ones that are the creators that are creating something better over here, fulfilling that boat where it cannot be ever touched. Also, they're showing me people in higher places. This happens in waves. People in higher places. We're talking authority figures of normal people that have risen up the ranks in the courts and in authority and of authority of law, or in prime positions in the matrix, in the old system. Some of them are meant to wake up at a specific time, and when they do, they suddenly click and they suddenly realize, they suddenly see all of that was pulled over humanity's consciousness and keeping us in a very state. Is they're starting to awaken, and then when they awaken, they will start to flip their whole perspective and go, oh my gosh, I now see what's going on. I'm in this position. Now I can offer this, Lord, this. And so it can put a plug in that. Or I can find people that are as passionate as I am, and they collectively join new groups. So there's this whole big reshuffle that's happening as well, especially after what's just happened. I'm not going to mention the name because, we'll just keep this light. But the whole world knows what's most people, even individually, have a sense or a bearing of what's going on. That the ones that are really caught in the matrix, they will keep it to themselves because they're too scared, because they're the ones that were poo-pooing it before, and now they've got to kind of let their pride go and come forth and go, okay, I switched, I understand now. So there's this whole big reshuffle that's happening as well in humanity's consciousness. But it is all meant to happen because sometimes we need the push to find our true value and equal partake in those. There is nobody more powerful than who you are, and money or no money, Power comes from within. Power comes from the inner support of ourselves and how we stand up and who we are, and we decide from a soul's perspective, no, we want to live here. We've decided we want to experience living on this planet in a free way. And just in saying that means that the soul within you, or the source energy, the God within you, will see many, many different possibilities to get ourselves out of something that we felt we were small in, we were limited in, and we didn't have a place to be able to move. So, yeah, so that's happening as well. Oh, yeah. So there's quite a bit going on. Hey, Linda. Hey, Mona. Hey, Christine. Hey, Bobby Burnett. I'm going to have to say Bobby Burnett because it's funny saying Bobby when I'm a Bobby too. So good to see you guys. Okay, what else is coming through here? So many of us are also, they're bringing up that many of us that have done that shadow work and so forth, we are in this yo-yo kind of position at the moment. So some of us are actually finding our gifts and starting to move towards them and feeling a lot freer and a lot lighter, and we're moving towards. Some of us have been squeezed even more because there is even more to come out of that person. It's almost like they're showing me before we were born, we might have been in a high status or a high power understanding, or had all these understandings of all these perspectives. And so to bring the power of ourselves through and become aware of that and actually stand in that power as we move through our life, we have to be squeezed even harder. So it's like the ones that are going through even more shadow work and more diversity, it's only because we have more power to be able to bring in, and it's in specific time that will shine through, so that we are walking on this planet, on this earth, as we were before we were born. So it won't be exactly the same, they're saying, but it's the power that they're talking about here, where we know ourselves within ourselves, and we are no longer shakeable. The anxiety will fall away because it will be pushing us into more. And then there are those that have held codes from being on this planet, like as in human form, life after life after life after life. And they are reawakening and starting to feel a little lighter than what they were before, because their journey was different to ones that have come straight from benevolence or higher frequencies. Their journey was already in this anxious, victimized, tense kind of a living that. And then they start to just, when they do the shadow work, they just start to feel, oh, I can let that go. I can finally let that go. I finally feel lighter. So as they are moving up, they're moving through this transition, they just start feeling lighter and lighter and lighter. So it's not that everyone's in the same box when it comes to ascending or finding one's inner power. It's everybody has their journey, and you know your journey. You know the best for you and how it feels for you and how you're coping with this and so forth. But they are telling me that there are many of us now. It's expanding a lot more than what you there's no way you could find that out by turning on television, let's put it that way, or listening to a news broadcast. There's no way, because those programs have been held by the ones that are still doing the program, right? So we just have to trust within ourselves that there are many awakening, and they want to at least bring that message through, that there are a lot more, and many of us are keeping it to ourselves, or many people are keeping it to themselves because they used to pick on others when and they now have to drop that that whole pride and realizing they're seeing life through different eyes, through different perspective. As they start to be squeezed by those that are out of balance, they start to drop their illusion of who they thought they were, and then these new gifts start to develop, and they start to get new passion, new ideas, new understandings, new ways to create different businesses, to bring out new wisdom to share with others and all of that sort of stuff. But they want to ground it too, because they know how to ground things. And how do we ground things? We make businesses, we form together, and we create actual stable things that can be seen by the eyes and heard by the ears and that sort of thing. So yes, there is a lot. And that's what these energies are doing, helping us with at the moment. So still be gentle on oneself, be kind to oneself, and realize you're not going nuts if you feel like you're in a yo-yo kind of a place at the moment, because it is feeling a little bit like that. I'm feeling good, I'm not feeling good, oh my gosh. But we are learning to find balance. We're learning to find center. We're learning to bring it into what's going to just give us a peaceful, harmonious life. What's my next step towards this? And we're also shifting any illusions that we thought were keeping us bound in an anxious way. Yeah. So that's all of that. And I thought maybe, because as you guys know, I missed out on the tarot on Tuesday because I was going through my own thing. I woke up in the morning and went, I'm not in the right mind at the moment to do anything. And so it was a quick spur of the moment choice. And I just when I have to go and do some inner healing within myself, and to do that, and that's just shifted me no end since I've done that. So I'm so glad that I did that, and respected myself. And I don't think I would have been of value to anyone while I was still in this healing phase myself. And it doesn't very often happen with me, but it does happen. And so what I thought I'd do too is maybe pull a couple of cards, because I did miss out on Tuesday's cards. So we can do that and see what the cards have to say as well, which is really just energy alignment. But they are fun, and I love the visual side of it as well. See what else comes through as well. They are finding things. There is a lot more being discovered, but it's, oh man, I'm seeing, it's like you could search for something in your reality and go, I'm going to align myself with the fact that, okay, say for instance, you heard somebody say something, just pie in the sky. Pie in the sky, like I was saying before in my last channelings, they're going to find lots of artifacts. And then you could say, oh, I don't really believe her. It's not going to happen. Then they're telling me you will only align yourself with not seeing those things come into your reality. You'll never align with the actual information, wisdom coming through. But if you do align with it and start to open your mind and go, maybe Bobbie is right, maybe they are finding new artifacts, all of a sudden you'll find your soul will bring you into alignment of the footage, videos, the wisdom, whatever, newspaper articles or whatever it is, newspaper articles, man, that's how old I am, right? And then you will start to see them happen. I have, since I've said that, I have seen one thing after another of what they've been discovering out there. And there's a lot more that they're discovering. It's really interesting. Yeah, so just be aware, and not saying just artifacts, we're saying across the board, they're trying to get you to realize that honestly, what you start to open your mind to, you will see more of. And that's a really important thing at the moment, as into the focus or the intention. If we start to keep focusing ourselves on everything's going to get worse, then we will see everything getting worse. And there will always be a part of humanity's consciousness that can prove that to be right. But if we see ourselves as everything's starting to get better, and oh my God, I'm opening myself to the fact that I'm going to start focusing on things that are getting better, then everything will start to align with you seeing everything getting better. And it's only your world that you need to convince. It's your perspective that you need to convince, that ends up bleeding out into your family and everything automatically, because it's your world that you are convincing. And so everyone in your reality starts to see that as well. And then you have literally shifted your world into a higher vibration of creating something beautiful and blissful on this planet, rather than focusing in on not. Beyond illusion just jumped out while I was talking about that. So it makes sense. We're going beyond the illusion of what we think is right, doing the inner work. Like, this is a very inner work card of transformation. The butterfly represents transformation, rebirth, understanding we are more than what we were before. We're no longer the caterpillar. We are the flying. We can fly. We can literally, they are bringing up, we can literally close our eyes and activate our pineal gland and move into these higher frequencies and have other lives and other places as well. We've got all this expansion. Our world goes beyond this limited just staying on Earth. It goes beyond all of that, because there is connections like neuron paths within our brain, energetic connections could align us with any sort of adventure and beautiful stuff coming through. But we cannot tap into that pineal gland and tap into those sort of beyond the illusion of stagnation into those different places, until we find balance within ourselves and have done enough of the shadow work to realize that we have a strong, stable support within ourselves of who we are, that we are source energy, God itself, going on a journey in this body. Once we start to take that value back, we can then expand ourselves outside of the limited consciousness. And this is happening around the whole world. This isn't just a few people. Everything has the opportunity now to change, everything. And you will also see that and communicate, when you start to become more in communication with through telepathy, a feeling, understanding more, that you'll no longer treat animals, plants, or anything the same way. You'll have much more respect of everything, but at the same time recognize, as the observer, just the observer of God itself, as like we are of that fish tank. We are watching and waiting to see how this all develops. Life and death will always happen. Life and death will always happen, just as birth will always happen. And to stop that, to stagnate that, to make everything absolutely perfect, would stagnate everything, would stagnate our growth. That's why when you see an AI picture, it looks too perfect, because the truth of nature is unlimited possibilities of expansion, where AI cannot. It has to follow some sort of pattern, and to be able to create something. And so it looks too perfect. And you can definitely tell the difference between AI pictures and not. They can't seem to bring the soul out of the image either, where a human drawing a picture can actually tap into that, because they know the feeling that comes with it. It's not just the pen on the paper. There's something else moving through the image or the picture, or the feeling that they are spreading out to the world through that imagery. So for us to expand, we need to recognize that many possibilities are present, but that we have consistency within our grounding of everything, so that we can have this linear story. We don't want the right hemisphere or the imaginative side to overtake us, and we end up all becoming insane and not having a linear story. And we're all at odds with each other with that as well. That would turn us back into what we were before. So as in just past the Atlantis Lemuria age. Anyways, so there's a lot more going on here that meets the eye, and it's all happening. It's perfectly in alignment with what source energy was already. It would never have deviated. I don't even know if that's a word. I'm not very good with English, but that's what they're saying. It would never have gone away from the actual what is it? New energies of source energy. It would never, the story that God itself, prime creator, source energy, our souls, everything wanted to go on, it would never have changed. We have to go through this. This is part of the journey that we have to go through, and it's meant to be this way. So nothing was wrong. Nothing happened wrong, even in the past. And they want us to get to that point where we accept the past for what it was, so that we can have a clear look at the future. We can open up the door to a new future, because we can look at the past and smile, and no longer see it as something that we are feeling victimized to, or we feel guilty about. That we are just, well, that happened and that brought me to now. And now I realize I need to find balance within myself to become more powerful, to be able to step forward, to be able to really work with Mother Earth, really work with the animals and the plants and each other, and the benevolent beings and those that go further out from Earth. Really work with my understanding of my reality to produce an even better, more peaceful place through self-acceptance, awareness, and satisfaction within oneself as we take these steps. No longer are we carving the neck or stepping up onto the next step with holding a whole heap of guilt and a whole heap of fear or anxiety or any of that. It's just that all falls away when we can see that from source energy's perspective, from God itself's perspective, everything happened perfectly. It was all meant to be, and remembering that life and death will always happen, because how can we shift and change and mold and experience new adventures if we stay in that one place and that same thing? We just become androids. We just become the AI that is, and that's just too limited for our human expansion, our human consciousness, which is source energy. So there's a whole new development that's going on here within our perspective, within humanity's perspective, and understanding who we are, that there's way more value within humanity than what we have even allowed ourselves to believe in ourselves. Okay. Yeah, and they're saying, you know, that thing that you were like sitting over the side over there and not really wanting to get into. I feel like this is a message for specific people out there. You know, that thing that you put on the side over there and you thought one day I'll be strong enough or powerful enough to actually move into that without fear. They're saying, take a step into it. And what might happen is you do come across the fear of the issue that's been holding you, but then it's in front of you that you can shift it and see it from a different perspective of where you weren't in power yourself and what you need to say to others to bring yourself into power. So take the step into that thing that you put aside waiting for your power to come up or the shadow work to be finished. Just take the step towards it and it will bring up the issue for you to actually face off with. Half the reason why you procrastinate and put it over there is because you don't want to face that step of the fear that you have that's kept you away from that becoming the success that you desire. So just take a step and know that anything that you're going to go through now, you've already been through in the past and got yourself out of it anyway. So it's no different to what's already happened. So you actually you're giving yourself freedom by realizing that you can get yourself out of these things. And the more that you realize how to do that, by just keep bringing yourself back into, okay, well, that just happened. I got faced off by somebody that's pushing me this way. Why am I feeling this? Am I saying that they can do that to me? Oh my gosh, I've got to stop allowing that to happen. And then I'm going to speak from my truth, from my heart, and say next time I see that person, no, that's not how you treat me, please. I'm not doing that anymore. And you already got it in your reality that you're moving towards your own self-support. And you have to do it in a way that if not trying to hold on to them, allow them to fall away if they don't want to be in your life anymore, because that's what their lesson was about, or allow them to raise their consciousness up to yours and go, oh, I see what you're saying now. You're giving me a boundary of what I crossed, and I didn't like that boundary anyway because it made me feel like I wasn't respecting myself either by disrespecting you. So now you've turned around and respected yourself, told me how to respect you, and now I can respect myself and let that go. So now we know exactly where that boundary is and not to cross it again, so I don't push you. And then the relationship becomes stronger as well. So they're saying anything that you felt was on the side that you've been putting aside, just move towards it and see what happens next. Because if it is clear, if the path is clear and there's nothing it was just your own anxiety from the past, then it will be a clear ride and it will come in really fast. And if not, then you'll see the hiccup and you'll be able to work through it because you see it now. But always bring it back to, what power am I giving away to make this be my story, that I feel this small, that I feel this belittled? Yeah. So there's that too. You're welcome, Bobby Burnett. Bennett. It's Bennett. Oh, I better say that right. Even with my glasses on, that writing is really tiny for me. Sorry, Bennett. Okay. Moment to moment. It's the biggest key, isn't it? And we all know it. I bet you everyone in here in this panel knows that. It's the biggest key. Just because when you're in the moment, you're no longer in your stories of the past, and you're no longer in the story of, oh my God, that past is going to happen in the future. You are present. And in this moment, nothing's happening bad to me. Nothing's happening bad to you. You're just sitting here, or you're driving and you're listening to me, or whatever it is, going to work. You're just being you in the moment. And that is a clarity. That is a feeling of, if I can keep bringing myself back to this, even though this morning my partner got upset with me for doing something that and rah at me. And if I just drive to work and go, but I'm bringing myself back to the moment. Is it happening now? No, it's not. Don't keep reliving it in your mind. This is what the logic tends to do. It will bring it up and bring it up and bring it up. And it's like, if I keep bringing it up, I'll find a way out. I'll find a way out. And it never does. All it does is bring this horrible feeling to you. And then the next time you see that person, that horrible feeling comes all back up again. But if you go, I'm bringing myself to the moment, and I'm living in the moment, and I'm not there now, I am here. I'm with the car, I've got the steering wheel, or I'm at my home and I'm sitting in front of my, on my front of my computer or my phone or whatever, or I'm lying in bed or whatever it is, I'm just here. Then you don't carry that feeling with you. And then the next time you see them, you don't have that feeling, and you watch everything that happened in the morning that was a bit will just dismantle. Also, you can use that, though. You can use that to say, hey, where did I give my power away? And look at that. But you're seeing it from a better perspective, rather than the logical mind just replaying it over and over, trying to find a way out. You're bringing it inwards and taking responsibility for how you're moving through your life. So I tend to go, okay, I need to just have a bit of space. I'll go over here, I'll go in the bathroom, I'll go somewhere completely quiet, and I'll look at that. And I'll go, why did I allow that? Why did that come into my reality? What did I do to say to somebody else that was okay? And so that's the shadow work. That's the work that I do. And then as soon as I finish that work, I live in the moment. And I just keep living in the moment. I don't keep replaying it over and over and over in my head, trying to find a way out from my logical point of view. That cannot do that, because the logic cannot shift a story. It can only grab a story and project it into the future. That's what keeps this story in a linear fashion, so that we actually have something tangible to work through from birth to death. But it overtakes everything. So that's the difference between those things. One, we're living in the moment and we are doing the inner work and we're taking responsibility. And the other one is we're living in the past and we're seeing how disappointed we are with us. Why did that person, we're projecting it all outside of us. They shouldn't have done it. That's the other side. So we're moving away from that, and we're moving into doing the work within ourselves, taking responsibility, because we are creator of our reality, and every single pulse of energy that we have within ourselves is being projected outward that other people can feel, because we are actually all one. And so they feel that and they will react to it every single time. So there is only you that's projecting that out. So if you walked up to your partner in the afternoon after you've had a clear mind and living in the moment, and you've seen where you've devalued yourself, you'll walk up to them and say, hey, you won't even have had to think about it. It wouldn't have even gone in your brain. You would have been completely living in the moment, remember? So then you go and see him, and the next time you've already decided, I'm not doing that again. I'm not devaluing myself again in front of him or whoever it is. And then you will walk up to him naturally without even thinking, and the words will come out your mouth. Hey, remember this morning when blah, blah happened? Just to let you know, I'm not doing that anymore, blah, blah, blah. This is who I am, and I won't put it. And they'll go, oh, wow, that come from a different space. I see that. Okay, yes, they'll either go, I agree with that, or they'll go, whatever, and walk off and won't have a bar with you, won't want to be around you anymore. But that's why you have to move through this life without attachment, without trying to hold on to anything as well. So I hope that helps you guys as well. Hey, Jamie. Hey, Brian. Good to see everybody. So I will be back next Tuesday, though, with the normal Tuesday tarot. And it's just the way it happens, right? I have to also do my own healing as I'm going along with this, or see where I'm going a little squiff with myself, and readjust that. And sometimes it falls on a day that I have to go live, and I will always put myself first. So that's how that works. But it doesn't very often happen. If anyone's followed me, I have mainly done every Tuesday and every Thursday live for a very long time. And let's see what else. Also, there is an interview link down below with a dear friend of mine, Mandy Horton, and she started a new channel up, and she's interviewing people. So she interviewed me on her show. So if you want to go down there, there's a link. And also, I do intuitive counseling readings. I channel through, connect to your soul, and I can bring through the issues that are blockages or anything. And I can also move you into alignment with your higher self as well. So it can also tap into past life stuff, depending as well. And I always come from my heart, and I always come speak from the truth of alignment at that moment. So it's up to you guys if you want to do a one-on-one reading. On my the website is Codes to a New Reality, and I have done literally hundreds and hundreds of readings. So if you're keen to do that, that's there. And I also have another interview with Skeptical Podcast with Robert, and that's coming up soon as well. So yeah, things are moving along, and yeah, I am always open to interviews and getting myself out there. It's just who I am. It's my personality, and it's what I'm supposed to do. It's my soul alignment. So love you guys heaps. Until next time. Bye.